WIO.
Come on in, sit right down. Keep your hands up and keep your chin down. Shut the door. Time to go with Randy Harris and Knockout Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Knockout Radio with Randy Harris is about to start. So get ready for the best MMA talk, games, interviews, prizes, and surprises anywhere. For Knockout Radio, I'm the voice, Ray Flores, and you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Ray Flores MMA, or facebook.com/Ray Flores MMA. And now, here's Knockout Radio.
Hey, everybody.
What is going on, everybody? This is Knockout Radio on Radio IO, Knockout Radio, and MMAweekly.com. It's cheap material, cheap computers that I'm using, that we're using. I went to Apple, I replaced it. We'll be good. It'll be good, guys.
It doesn't have a clock on it? Is that the problem? Or is it 20 minutes late? You got to reset the clock.
It's on Brazilian.
It's on Brazilian time.
It's on Brazilian time? Okay.
All right. So I know some people, and I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus. If you want to raise your hand, feel free to do it. But I know a lot of people are not overly fond of the Open.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
We have a band.
No, we're not.
You're not either?
No.
You're on board?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All right.
I
got you back.
Do you not
15 months now.
Do you not like the music, or do you not like the words?
Everything.
Yeah.
I worked hard writing that, just so you know.
Can I chime in at all? Because I love the Open, Randy.
There you go.
Thank
Frank's
you.
got my
Thank
back.
you.
That Open kicks ass.
Tiebreaker.
All right. We have a band standing by in Atlanta who is willing to do a new Open for us.
Are they hickish like this?
No, this isn't hickish. This is hillbilly. That's hillbilly rock.
Hillbilly.
What's the difference?
What exactly?
They're willing to do it. We're going to do, I don't want to say a contest, but whoever wants to write an Open, submit it. We will plug whoever wrote it.
I'm not plugging anybody.
You can feel free to plug, and then we will have this band cut us a new Open.
Now, does it have to be like a band with like does it have to have lyrics like that? I mean, can it be like, just some music and some words? I don't know. It's just
instrumental Open.
Like an instrumental Open, like this is Knockout Radio, and
when you hear that song, you think of us, not the words.
I really believe that when you hear that, do people think of Knockout Radio?
They think I'll turn it off for a minute and a half, and I'll turn it back on.
They're like, oh shit, what's this hillbilly going to talk about?
So much to talk about, and we're going to argue about our Open.
Now, listen, it's at the top of the show.
And you're the one who brought it up.
No,
Ray Flores is plugging his damn MySpace page.
No.
We love Ray, but
that does need to be replaced. And the reason that Ray did that was
Ray's a good guy. We appreciate him doing that.
I understand. There was a reason for him to plug it. I asked him to do it because when Joe Marquis used to be in here, all he was worried about was his Facebook and Twitter following.
Right.
So the object was to have Ray plug his own so we could get Ray more followers than Joe Marquis.
I don't think that would take much.
So
I think he did that after week 1, so you probably could have eliminated it.
I also said that I would give this out, and Alex, if you can tweet this out. We are going to... I think this is pretty cool, what we're doing with the WCFL.
It is cool, and I'm pissed I'm out of town for it.
No,
go on.
It is what it is.
Go on with your thing. I saw you announce this, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep. So what we're going to do with our good friends over at the WCFL, and post it, share it, sell it.com.
World Class Fight League.
They are going to have one of the VIP tables, which is the closest seats, not as close as where I'll be sitting, but
of course not.
But pretty close seats. For the event on June 29th.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens we have a very good friend of ours in town by the name of Matt Hamill.
Never heard of him.
So Matt Hamill will be at the event, and he will be sitting at this table, and we are going to give away 2 VIP tickets to hang with Matt Hamill, to be at the WCFL, to enjoy the fights, and they have been the best fights in Tampa Bay.
Without a doubt. Hands down.
Phenomenal, and they're amateurs, and that's the whole thing. Amateurs and the best fights, but you're going to get to hang out with Matt Hamill. You'll sit with him and his management, his team. Jay will be there if you've seen the DVD. May even hook you up with a DVD. So each week, I was going to say every day, but I don't want to have Wags do too much work. Each week.
He does enough as
he does.
Breaking the guy's back.
No, he definitely does.
Wags is the only one who does something.
Every
around here.
Wednesday night, we will announce a new question. And all you have to do to register is tweet it. Tweet the answer. Facebook it, however you want to do it. We'll put it all in a big bowl. We'll pull the winner the Wednesday before the event. This week's question: of Matt Hamill's 15 professional MMA fights, how many were not in the UFC?
Okay.
Easy enough. It'll be easy to find. If you can tweet, that's what's the question. We will first put it out on the show, then we'll tweet it out, and you can send the answer once a day.
Okay.
So you'll be able to register up to 7 times a week, blah, 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 and then we'll have the drawing. Hang out. If we go eat before, you'll be welcome to join us.
When you go eat before. Don't act like food is an option. Maybe we'll go eat, and we'll probably eat after. You're eating. You're getting a meal. Except Randy, don't expect Randy to pick up the bill on that. You can just come.
You can hang out.
Right.
Now, which is a big difference from the deal we're doing in Seattle with Salties. They're picking it up.
They're picking up the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we should just say it's being picked up.
Right.
Not that they're picking it up. It's being picked up. So we'll talk about these things over the next couple hours and over the next couple weeks. Some guy by the name of, if you watched the event on Saturday, you might have seen him. It was a pretty quick fight. TJ Grant coming up on the second hour.
How about that?
Who?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
Somebody. I've heard of him. That was a firefight, wasn't it?
Huge
Holy
underdog.
Jesus.
We'll talk to him about, so we don't need to talk about everything that happened, and he wasn't going to get knocked out, and we'll discuss that with TJ at the bottom of next hour. He's teaching a class right now. How about that? He just had the biggest fight of his career on Saturday. 5 days later, he's already back in the gym teaching.
Hey, got to make money.
You got
to make money.
Doesn't matter how much that bonus is.
Exactly.
It is still
short window.
I don't know if you saw this.
Probably not.
And I do want to get, to talk about the fight on Saturday, some stuff to get to. But I think it was a big deal to me. And I know that you, Derek, along with other people, but you, Derek, like to give me a hard time on Twitter. You like to give me a hard time.
I do it to your face, too.
No, that's true.
Pretty much if I see you, yes.
It's
That's
not
true.
only social media.
Yeah, I do it in
Media in
in
general.
social settings and in media settings and social media settings.
Now,
Yeah.
just tell me when I can get to
Try
what
to
we'll talk about.
We'll get to it quick.
there.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty big deal what Vitor Belfort did at the press conference after the fight in Brazil to John Morgan. And I think it's important to say it doesn't matter if it was John Morgan, if it was Ariel Helwani, if it was Omar Marino. I don't know why that came to mind. Orlando Cepeda. It doesn't matter. I think it was a big deal that there was a threat made.
Armbar Andy. And there's someone.
Yeah, okay.
You got someone out there?
Octagon Jimmy.
Yeah, Octagon Jimmy.
Kimura Kimberly.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the other one.
All of them. It doesn't matter who it was. If you're in the press room,
Right.
if you're asking a question, for anybody to then threaten. And after some things happened, it was brought up to Dana White at the scrum on Thursday, and I believe it was Friday that Vitor Belfort picked up the phone and called John Morgan and apologized.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say because I thought it sucked, and I made that comments on Twitter and on the show, on the Friday show. And Vitor was man enough. He admitted it was a mistake. He was sorry for it.
Did he?
Did he?
Did he feel these things, or do you think he was highly encouraged to do said things? There's a big difference between
I think both.
apologizing.
I think both.
And having that and saying
And being told to do it.
almost like I'm sorry if I offended anyone.
Right.
Whenever I hear that, I kind of laugh. It's like I'm not really sorry unless you were offended. Then
Sure.
yeah, deal with it.
Well, and we've talked about numerous times that I don't allow my family to apologize because an apology is a waste of time. If you didn't mean to do it, you wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So
And if you are sorry, move forward and don't
Right.
do it again type of deal. Yeah.
I wasn't privy to the conversation. It was by phone, but John Morgan said he seemed sincere. That they were acquaintances. I don't want to say friends. They were acquaintances. They
Right.
dealt, obviously. John accepted the apology. And I just thought it was important to, A, bring it up,
Yeah.
and B, have Vitor apologize, and to then bring it up that Vitor did do these things, that he did apologize.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. It's almost like any kind of correction to a story in the newspaper, any kind of retraction, any kind of
Sure.
It's never as big as the story. You could have a front page story splashed all over, and if there's a screw up, guess what? Like on page 15 in the bottom left hand corner, there's by the way, I didn't hear about this, not nearly as much as I heard about the uproar of Vitor doing it. So I think it's important to get that out there, that he did apologize and kind of went through those motions. It's good just to gain that kind of, I think, respect for the media. Like I said, I think the MMA media has a long way to go to be respected and to take themselves seriously and to be professional. But that being said, in a work environment like that, you just can't do what Vitor did. I didn't think it was a huge deal. It was completely unprofessional. I mean, there's no arguing there, but I wasn't up in arms about it like a lot of people were. But that being said, he did the right thing. I have a feeling because the timing of it was like Dana found out
on Thursday,
and on Friday he gets that call.
And I'll tell you why I thought it was a big deal. And when I spoke to Dana about it, and I felt that it was important to let him in on why I felt it was important, being that I was pulled over by the police in Brazil, being that we were ripped off, and I kind of didn't know how to use the wording, just like I don't now. What is it called? What they did to us?
You got jacked.
Well, it wasn't carjacked because
you just got jacked.
Just jacked.
You
okay.
just got jacked.
All right, so
so
we just got jacked.
You're lucky you left for your shoes.
No, we are lucky to be alive. There's no doubt. And so when I said it to Dana, and I said, I just want you to know these are the things that happened to me, and then for this to happen, and
Dana's like, why do you have so much UFC stuff in your car, you son of a bitch? He's like, if I would have known, I would have sent some guys after you.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Maybe it was him that took
They were
care
on the
of it.
roll.
So it's taken care of, attaboys to everybody.
But I think especially where it happened, like
Well,
you're
and that's
saying,
what I'm
is
saying.
the biggest deal. Like when you go down there, there's definitely
It's scary.
it's a different
It's
mentality.
scary.
I mean, it's not and we talked about this last week, and we talked about it off the air too. Was the mentality down there? They're not in the business of taking down their athletes, the media. And I feel like their way they cover athletes is much different than we cover our athletes here. And even over in Europe with their soccer players, and they're very tabloidy over in Europe. And here it's like it seems like the media is trying to look for stuff. Down there, they're very protective of their athletes and their people and, people who are doing good things for the country. So, yeah, it's not like when Vitor says something, people don't take it serious.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, we're going to continue and get Derek even more upset. We're going to get Derek all riled up.
We talking pound for pound?
We're not going to talk pound for pound. We're going to
talking
talk
women's
Hall of
MMA?
Fame. We're going to talk Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
And I know you have a problem with it, so we can either start with why and discuss that back and forth, or we can discuss, which I do have a problem with, the announcement that Dana made on Saturday night regarding who is going into the Hall of Fame.
Randy, this is your ship. Where do you want to go with it? You drive it.
Okay. I don't have an issue, and I don't have a problem, and I like the idea that there is a Hall of Fame.
Is there one?
Yes, there is.
Where's it at?
It is in Dana's office.
Okay.
Why does it have to have a location?
I think it helps.
Does it? Well, it helps, but it doesn't have to.
I mean, obviously it doesn't have to. They don't have one, yet they have a Hall of Fame. I think it helps.
Where's the mascot Hall of Fame? Is there really one?
Is there?
Well, I know there is one because
He doesn't care about one Hall of Fame. Why is he?
Why does
I
he
don't care
about
about any Hall of Fame.
Any. Major League Baseball.
Who gives a shit?
Then okay.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
and that's where I was going to go with you. If you're okay with the NFL Hall of Fame,
No.
then
Who cares?
Okay, so at least you're consistent.
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. Then,
Good.
Then we
Because
can-
otherwise I'll leave.
Leave.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I was out of here.
So there's no sense in really disagreeing and going into why you dislike it or why I like it. But let's talk about who is going in. And I do
Going
have a
into
problem
this
with it.
fictional Hall of Fame.
Is MLB fictional?
MLB has a physical Hall of Fame, so the UFC does not. There's no real place.
There's no building.
There's a hall
Right.
to go to.
Let's say who's being recognized with an award of a Hall of Fame title,
Right.
Something like that. So go on.
So it was announced on Saturday night, and I'm sure everybody knows by now, if you're listening to this radio program, that means you are an MMA fan, and you know that Forrest Griffin has retired, even though some people thought he already did that. And then I tweeted,
Technically, he did like a month ago. You said,
I half expected Tito to run in.
yeah,
Because that
the piss on his parade.
I
right?
would give anything for Tito to do that in July.
Shocking,
He's going to be there.
right?
I would love for him to run up and do it and just say, payback's a bitch. Karma, whatever. But Forrest Griffin retires, came up, answered 2 questions, did his normal, deal, and then left. Then when we were talking to Dana at the scrum, he announced that Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner
Yep.
going into the Hall of Fame, the fictional Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it.
Being honored. Yeah.
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with Stephan Bonner being recognized as a Hall of Famer. And I like Stephan. He's been on our show. He's a good dude. But
here's the issue. When you have when you don't actually have a Hall of Fame, and I agree with, I think you brought up on Twitter that fight should go in the Hall of Fame. Or that fight,
absolutely.
That fight should be recognized.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. Like, when you're talking about a fictional place, like, is there a special area for fights? Because really, I mean, you should be able to do that. I know for a fact there's areas in
all of the
NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, when Cadillac Williams was a rookie and I was working with the Bucs and he had the most yards in the first 3 games ever by a rookie. I grabbed his shoes after the game. They asked for him in Canton, and there's a little thing, that has his picture. Now, is Cadillac Williams a Hall of Famer? No. But, his achievement is recognized in the Hall of Fame right now.
And that's what the fight should be. Period.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's not even close. And I don't even think Forrest on his own gets into the Hall of Fame either. I mean, I don't think he's a
yeah. I mean,
if we're talking about
I agree with
and you know how I hate putting it.
Sure,
Forrest isn't a Hall of Fame fighter.
Forrest is in the Hall of Pretty Good.
And see, here's my issue. I feel like when people talk about Hall of Fame, that it really disrespects
the Hall of Famers.
The other guys who are also very good and were very good for a long time, but for some reason they just don't get the rub by 20 sports writers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of guys like, and when I watch a game and when I watch seasons, there are players who are phenomenal, for 4 years, 5 years, and to almost say like, but he's not a Hall of Famer, you're shitting on his career. Well, you didn't get this done. And to me, that's where I have an issue with it. I mean, just like off the top of my head, a guy like Simeon Rice. All right, again, I'm sorry for the Tampa references, but This is what I was around. To me, I watched Simeon for 4 or 5 years dominate. He's not going to go to the Hall of Fame, but when I'm going to know in my head that he was one of the baddest defensive ends that I ever saw play, period. Now, someone's going to, he's not a Hall of Famer. Like, I watched it. I know what's wrong with being a great player for a long time, and that's where my issue is. Forrest, he could be, I guess you make the argument he was the first tough champ to win a title, I believe. But again, is that...
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. And my thing is, if Forrest Griffin is not a Hall of Famer, what the hell is Stephan Bonner?
Yeah. And
a two-time, not one, a two-time steroid user.
Yeah, a 2-time cheat caught. And, I mean, you take that fight and time capsule it, awesome.
Absolutely. No.
I mean, in a fight like Shogun Henderson, put some of those just classic wars that you could just, put on and watch forever, you can watch every day. Honor those separate fights. I'm cool with that. And again, the problem is though, there's no standards in this Hall of Fame. The one thing that
any Hall of Fame, there's no standards.
But I mean, at least for some, for the NFL, you have to be inactive for 5 years. There are some things like, when do you put guys in? When are they not eligible?
Right.
When you're just grabbing names, I don't know. Does it mean that much? To you, it does. To me, I just like, A, there's not a place. B, there's nothing. There's no ground rules.
He wasn't the first tough alum to win a title.
Ooh, talk to me. Who was?
Matt Serra.
Matt Serra did first?
Yes.
Sarah beat...
By a year.
Oh, was it really? Sarah beat GSP a year before?
A year before Forrest beat Rampage.
Okay. So I stand corrected.
So Matt Serra goes in, right?
Well, honestly, a lot of people were really wondering if Matt Serra would go in. With him also announcing his retirement.
What? No. For what?
and I don't think... I think the Hall of Fame...
everyone's just going to grab, any recognizable name during that time period.
Won the Ultimate Fighter. He's in there.
I mean, he had one title defense and lost it, right?
I agree with you. Neither one deserve or should a real Hall of Fame, a fictional Hall of Fame. And what I think, and I've always said this, is it takes away from your true, legitimate superstars.
Yeah.
Because you put at the top of that Mount Rushmore, and we did this, I don't know, about a year ago, what 4 fighters would you put on your Mount Rushmore.
Right. You had Tito, and Tito, I think, was the fourth one, right?
Why are you such a...
I'm just asking.
No.
Oh.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe I had Tito up there.
I doubt that.
Now
you're talking crazy, but go on.
All right, you got another job there, Wags. You have to go back and find when we did it.
Oh my God!
Start digging the tapes, will you?
Whew.
If you were to go and say, "Give me your Mount Rushmore," and since right now in the UFC Hall of Fame, what is it, 5, 6? How many total? No, there's 4. There's about 8 guys, I think. I'm pulling it wherever.
Right.
I'm sure if you went to every single person and said some of those names would be in your Mount Rushmore.
Right. Legit guys. Yeah.
After July, the people that will go in July will never be mentioned in that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
To me, a Hall of Famer is the elite of the best of the best. And for you to compare Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Matt Hughes, Tito Ortiz,
Hoist
Gracie,
Yeah.
Mark Coleman, Dan Severn,
Is Mark Coleman in?
Yeah.
Ken Shamrock,
Brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Well, we'll talk about that one.
Mask.
You don't think Mark really?
Yeah.
Is it because you're too young and you just didn't know his career?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I remember watching, but again, when you start naming those names, Mark Coleman doesn't jump off the page.
One of the guys with the computers, whichever one wants to do it, pull up Mark Coleman, pull up his record from when he was dominant.
Right.
The problem with when you stay too long,
Yeah.
you
that
tend
sticks
to
around.
forget.
It sticks around, yeah.
You tend to forget. We went to Augusta, I believe it was UFC 11, and I believe Mark Coleman, and we'll talk about Mike Tyson in a second, but I believe Mark Coleman could have gone a good run with Mike Tyson as the baddest man on the planet.
He was feared. There's no doubt. I get that. I'm just, in my mind, when you name those names, he's at that bottom of the list.
And I believe a lot of that is because you were so young when he was dominant,
and it could have been
and what's happened
comeback.
since?
Yeah.
Oh no,
and the come around.
1,000,000%. If Matt Hughes would have continued another couple years,
yeah,
the younger generation type of people wouldn't have known and still don't.
And that's part of the deal, though. That's part of the package deal. When you're talking about a Hall of Fame career, that's part of his career. So,
all right, give me Coleman's in his heyday. When he was dominant.
He's 16-10 in his career.
16-10.
16-10.
Not exactly lighting the world on fire.
Forrest Griffin has a better record than that.
Go ahead.
Just saying.
What do you want me to name? I mean, the wins, I have no idea who these people are.
In his heyday, go back 5-6 years. Don't
put together a win streak.
When he was that dominant, Augusta, UFC 11, whatever it was. Give me in that area.
I mean, 16-10.
I understand that.
He started off 6-0, and that was UFC 10, 11, and 12. And he also fought in UFC 14, lost, UFC 17, lost, UFC 18, lost. So he went on 6-0, and then after those, he was then 6-4. Losses, some of his losses, Nog. He beat Don Fry after that. Lost to Fedor, lost to Crow Cop. He beat Shogun, then lost to Fedor, lost to Shogun. Then now you're talking about the UFC, or that was in the UFC, the Shogun loss. Then Stephan Bonner, he beat him. And then a loss to Couture. And that's what ended their career.
Wah, wah. I'm sorry. He fought some of the best. There's no doubt about it. In their prime.
Losing to a legend means nothing to me.
What do you call a machine?
It means a loss.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it doesn't matter, when Sean said, well, he fought Fedor and lost. He fought these named guys and lost. It's a loss.
Yeah, it is a loss.
It doesn't matter to me that it's not a better loss because it was Fedor than it was.
Yeah. No. 16-10.
No.
Again, like when you look at the let's look at the current crop of guys. Guys who are just fighting right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, legit guys, hands down, Hall of Famers are who?
GSP,
Anderson, John Jones.
Now you're giving John Jones already?
Absolutely.
Now you're giving it on potential, right?
No.
Like right now, if he hung it up?
I believe, and go to the most recent rankings, John Jones is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And I think, and we were discussing this in the press room,
a guy like Miguel Torres was for a while. People were considering a guy like Miguel Torres, pound for pound, in the WEC as the best fighter in the world. So you can't just say that if you've hit that spot, you
True.
know, you're getting
No, true.
that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he might end up there. I'm just saying like right now, a surefire. I think
Well, if Stephen Bonner gets in, I think he gets in.
I mean, he clearly the inside track. That's a great point. I mean, he's got the inside
That's
track
next
too.
July.
Right.
Next July.
But I mean, there's really GSP Anderson. You know, if it ended today, and they're closer to the end of their career,
I think BJ will go
then-
in. And I'm not necessarily, saying that he's the elite of the elite. He had the potential to be the elite of the elite, but I think BJ will go in.
see, to me, he's like on the fence.
He is on the fence. I'm just saying I think he gets in.
Yeah.
I'm the Hall of Fame. To me, if I ran it, it would be the great of the greats. It would be the super of the supers. And there is a name that hasn't been brought up. I have a feeling will never be brought up. And I would have to really look at, and Sean, if you want to
Talking about Tim Sylvia.
if you want to pull it up to tell me exactly, but off the top of my head, I believe Jens Pulver is a Hall of Famer.
Oh, you are crazy.
Give me, again, not towards the end.
No, you can't do that though.
You gotta go
That's
the
the
whole
thing.
thing.
No, I think you can't.
Yes.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
So if Babe Ruth
Look-
would have
look-
continued to play and then sucked his last 7 years,
Mike
he wouldn't be a
Allstott.
Hall of Famer?
Mike Allstott.
7
Back to
years?
the Tampa Bay football. Mike Allstott.
If
What
you
about Mike Allstott?
People said now, towards the end of the career, when he didn't have the same numbers, it's questionable now.
Oh, he's not going in. I
No,
mean,
no.
you suck for 7 years.
What are these guys going to do
How-
when they're done fighting?
How long?
They're
going to
continue fighting.
How long's his career?
I use
If you think about
Well,
this,
it's got to go the UFC. We just have to
Hold
look
on,
at that.
But think about this. If you're saying
Sure.
Jens Pulver sucked for 7 years, or like
I didn't say sucked.
if
He didn't perform to his potential.
if his
for 7 years.
if his career
Way to
was
be PC
14
about it.
years,
Exactly.
you're saying half his career was down.
But what about the half where a fighter dominates for 7 years?
I mean, it makes you a very good fighter.
should have gone in those 7 years.
Cash out.
Yeah, with the UFC. So in your analogy, Derek, if Matt Hughes would have fought for another 2 years
yeah,
on the same trail of what was happening,
Yeah.
he's no longer a Hall of Famer?
yeah.
Really?
It's a career. It's a career. It's not a flash in the pan. It's not for 2 years. I couldn't be touched, but then for 4 years. But let's just focus on it's a career. That's the thing. It's a Hall of Fame career, beginning to end.
Are you pulling up, Jens?
Not just the little
Yeah,
area.
I got him.
You got it?
Not just the area where you were good. People can always pull things out and manipulate numbers and say, hey, look, from 99 to 2002, I was untouchable.
Give me Jens.
Yeah, but you fought from 96 to 2011.
Give me Jens Pulver, only UFC, not after he left the UFC. Because correct? You
I don't
wouldn't
give
give
a
a
shit. Go ahead and throw the whole thing
no,
in there.
you have to do that. I agree
No, I'm
with you
saying
on that
if
one.
if we're talking UFC,
No, that's baloney because
It's the UFC Hall of Fame, though.
it's a UFC Hall of Fame, but they're recognizing stuff from Japan. What guys have done over in Japan?
Oh, no,
they were
no.
they were recognizing
they're-
that, weren't
well,
they?
are, but they're
Right.
only recognizing organizations that they own. So
What
the
about
Pride stuff?
Record wise,
I-
they're not taking that.
I
into
don't
account?
think so. I think they only use the Pride, the WEC. They'll use
And
the
it's just a
Strikeforce.
name. I don't think they actually put stats.
I can't believe you got me going on this.
I know.
For,
This has been great.
for a fictional thing that I could give
that
two
you
shits
hate
about.
That
yeah,
you absolutely
Yeah.
hate.
So yeah, he was 6-2 in the UFC.
6-2.
Yeah,
Jens Pulver.
over the
8
last
fights. 8 fights.
over the last.
No, we're not going.
Yeah, go
Just saying.
over it.
No.
Yeah, Wegs and I are talking here.
Just
Just
saying.
turn the mic down.
The last 15 fights of his career,
Yes.
he was 5-10.
He was 5-10 over a 15
How many
period
boxers
course.
did he lose to?
There,
Yeah, did Ray
There-
Mercer knock him out?
there was a stretch of 6 losses in a row.
6 losses in a row.
Yes,
The best of the best.
The Mount
Had
Rushmore.
I'm going to reach across and
best
grab
of
all
the best.
three of you.
The best of the best had 6 losses in a row at one point in his career.
All right, so back to, and then we'll move
Unless
on.
he lost his first 6 and then rattled off 30 straight after.
Then it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, so active right now, you foresee only those 2. That's who you would say right now.
If the doors closed today, if they ended today, yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, I say, in your analogy, if the doors shut down today,
You would put John Jones.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
How can you not?
I just saying, I think, listen, he has the absolute inside track. Absolute inside track behind, ahead of any other active fighter between those two.
So if, and I know you want to get off this, if John Jones wins, it doesn't even matter, 1 fight, 2 more fights, whatever, at light heavy, and moves up to heavy and then struggles at heavy, is that going to affect it in your mind of really?
Yes, absolutely.
See, I don't think it should.
You can't
He's
just remember the good times. It's a career.
I think it would be different if he stayed at light heavy and then struggled and then lost 6 fights. But if he's going to move up, if he's going to challenge himself,
then it was a bad career move.
It adds, it adds. I mean, trust me, if he goes up there, it adds to his legacy, especially if he can get a win. But if you start taking L's, you're taking L's. They're losses. It's the same thing with a guy like Roy Jones Jr. For a while, the most dominant boxer in the world, moved up to heavyweight, won a title, beat John Ruiz. But guess what started happening to Roy? He started getting knocked out by nobodies and getting knocked out a lot. And yeah, that still sticks. That's part of his career. You know, that's why people are telling him, like, hey, hang it up. You're done. Stop. You can't just remember, the good times.
Oh, no.
It's a career.
Okay. Speaking of career,
yeah.
Saturday night, UFC 160, I believe it was. I thought it was an absolute phenomenal card.
Yes.
I thought the fights were outstanding.
What did we say? That we'd be shocked if a fight went past the first round? I think one did on the main card.
I believe it was about 11 o'clock. They were getting ready to start the co-main event, and Wiggs goes, holy shit, Derek was right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be home by 11:45.
You're going to be home. Trust me, if they didn't run the one of the prelims, I would have been in bed by midnight.
I was getting tweets. I was getting texts. I was getting when it
You're
went
getting
on.
Texas?
I was in Texas. Yeah.
Nice.
When they saw the canvas, when it first went live.
What happened? What was that, the first out the gate?
It was the
got
first
shot?
fight.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Was Clay Guida fighting?
Well, first of all, Jeremy Stevens is not, the first fighter of the night. He was the first fight. Stevens was the first fight. But, I mean, this is the guy that's been in the UFC.
Little heathen,
I mean, he's a legitimate fighter. And it was just, it was like a ragdoll.
Was he bleeding?
No.
Okay.
He just totally dominated that fight.
He turned it into like his bar fight that he got into a little trouble with.
Allegedly.
Yeah. It's still being worked out.
They kept him from the Eve Edwards fight.
But there was multiple people, were saying what happened? I mean,
what happened? How did this happen? What's going on?
Sacrificed a pig in a couple corners.
It was unreal.
Well, and the Cerrone Nunes fight looked like a whole lot of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whole lot of ass whooping going on.
Yeah, that was that strategy.
KJ Nunes said that Cowboy would not stand with him.
Yeah. Who cared? Like I love the fact that he took him down and just beat him up down there. I mean, why what's he gonna do? Box a boxer?
And then at the press conference, Cowboy's like, "I'm ready to fight tonight."
Yeah.
I'll fight anybody.
Not a scratch. Line him up.
Yeah.
That was nasty looking.
Yeah. I mean, he put it on him. Cowboy looked good. Cowboy's game plan was what I thought Gray Maynard was going to try to do. That I guess Gray left his wrestling somewhere.
Yeah.
Gray forgot that he's a wrestler. Along those lines.
He didn't really have time to do anything. The fight was almost just under 2 minutes.
Yeah,
just over.
But he was standing and trading. He didn't look to shoot. He didn't look to go low. Take some pace out of that thing. But yeah, the card itself, top to bottom, was excellent.
All right, I'm getting ready to get reamed like normal. Because here's my thought as I'm watching the Junior Dos Santos fight. Okay. I thought he put on a great performance.
Sure.
I thought JDS had a great strategy. I thought JDS knew what he wanted to do. He did everything he wanted to do. But I haven't heard a single person say, but he ran. And you know what? He did.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. But and I understand, and Clay Guida comes to mind first, for what happened in Atlantic City. Clay did it a whole lot more, turned and ran, but JDS ran out, backed out, however words you want me to use, and it was a smart thing to do. And he looked dominant in the fight.
Yeah.
But he did throw a couple punches and then kind of circle out.
He did the same thing that Condit did to Diaz.
He stuck and moved. He stuck and moved. And I have zero problem with that. None. I mean, that's a strategy to win the fight. And we've seen JDS use different strategies. That's not like all he does. You can't point to him and be like, he's a chicken shit. All he does is run. He sticks, and by the look of Mark Hunt's face...
Oh, he landed.
He landed. So what are you going to do, stand there and admire your work with Mark Hunt? I was surprised that Dos Santos had his back hit the cage as much as he did. And I tweeted out, he's playing with fire every time he was touching the back of this cage because that didn't give him a lot of movement to go. And Mark Hunt was unloading. He was looking to connect with that overhand right. And he was, anytime Junior got close to his back of the cage, and there were times his back was squarely on that cage, I was like, oh, you got to get out of there.
I didn't catch it. Maybe you guys did. Did Seagal tweet that he took credit for it?
for the spinning kick?
Yeah, for the spinning kick.
I don't know.
He invented it.
I know. I read a lot of the Twitter jokesters talking about that someone better test Junior for TRT now because he stole Vitor's kick. But.
Well, no, I don't think you need to test for TRT. I just, if Benson's going to get in trouble for the toothpick in his mouth, I think JDS should get scolded for the earpiece, as Seagal was telling him what to do.
Yeah.
So he was pulling the strings and doing the things.
And you talk about, it's talking about him running. There was a minute left in a fight that he had won the first 2 rounds and was winning that 3rd round, and he was looking to close.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's a big difference between picking your spots.
Is running not the right word?
People use it.
Word?
I feel like he just utilized movement.
Great. No, and that's what I'm saying. It was a great strategy. I just sometimes I got a chuckle that fighter A can do it, and it's running, it's backing out, it's being scared.
I think
fighter B does pretty much the same thing. Nothing's the same, but pretty much.
I think it's a big difference when that becomes your fighting pattern. I mean, we can go ahead and call it out. Like I think Sean even said Clay Guida. Or you said it in, Atlantic City running.
But that's not a pattern. He did it in one fight.
He's done it a couple times now. People are getting bored of Clay Guida's style.
He did the last time,
fights.
too. He's fought one time.
In Chicago, he did it. In Chicago,
I don't really recall him doing it.
It wasn't.
He did in
it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad.
Still did it.
And he's starting to get that reputation now of people like, oh,
which is a shame because the beginning of the career,
he was nuts and guts.
I'm going to stand there, the Diego Sanchez fight.
And what did he do? He lost those. You implement strategy.
Sure,
I think with Dos Santos, that was the strategy he had to use during this fight, and he executed perfect. And again, there's a minute left in the fight, minute and a half, and he's looking for the kill.
No, absolutely.
God bless him.
And I don't know about you, and of course we'll talk about it over the next hour. Are you excited about the trilogy? Because it will happen next.
Yeah.
But before we talk about that, let's talk about the main event. Yeah. Who I moved Cain Velasquez on the pound for pound up 2 slots. That's how dominating he was in that fight. Stopped early, some illegal punches allegedly, but
allegedly.
Still. Well, again,
they weren't called.
So right. So it's legal.
They were called because even Cain said he got warned.
Well, nothing was done.
Right. Well, that's the problem.
I'll take the warning all day.
Exactly. Yeah, warn me while it lands.
Right.
When the ref jumped in, I actually thought he was about to give Bigfoot some time to recover because the last punch it landed before he stepped in, to me, was square in the back of the head. Square in the back of the head. Like not even, trying to reach to, around to his face or anything. He just came down. It looked like just a straight rabbit punch. And the ref jumped in, and I was like, "Oh God, he's going to maybe take a point here, or he's going to give him time."
Right.
Yeah,
Shocking.
And then I kind of saw him. It almost looked like he hesitated. I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna screw this up," and he stopped the fight. And again, was it a little early? I mean, I didn't see Bigfoot making any kind of moves, so I didn't hate that. I was just a little disappointed that last punch that I saw after a couple questionable ones to the head. I felt like the last one was an exclamation point.
I did think it was early. And I've said it to you guys, and I've said it there at the events. These guys are professional fighters. Give them the opportunity to fight.
Yeah.
Now, there's a fine line. I understand that, and that's why I don't referee. But let them fight. And I thought there was 2 fights that got stopped early. And I know you got something to say, but I thought that one, and I thought the Colton Smith was stopped early. I think both were going to lose. But that's not our place. That's not their place.
Right.
Let them. They're fighters. They're there to fight.
Yeah.
I don't like the line. I'm willing to die. And no, you're not. None of these. Come on.
And no one wants it.
Right. And nobody wants it. And I don't believe anybody's willing to die in a cage. But they've trained for this and for both fights. But for the Bigfoot fight to be stopped, and then he kind of looked like, what? Yeah, I was curled up. I was covering up. And then that fight gets stopped, and you go back to when Brock beat Shane Carwin.
Yeah.
And that fight continues.
Yeah.
Mike Pyle is almost unconscious, and the fight continues. My whole bitch, my whole complaint, my whole thought is be consistent.
But you can't when you have when
8 different
when the officials are different. You can't ask Mario Yamasaki to ref exactly the same way. You can no.
A strike, no matter who the home plate umpire is.
There are things that you can you certainly there are basics. There certainly are basics, but there is no there's no perfect time to stop a fight. There just isn't. I mean, you can do your best to train. It's that human error thing that, we talk about.
Well, it's also a very famous referee once told me it depends on who the fighter is. And I don't know if that's right.
And you hate that.
Just because fighter A can take an ass whooping.
Yeah.
Forrest Griffin, Randy Couture, whoever can take a little bit more, you give them the extra. I think Bigfoot can take more.
Yeah, you almost feel like that should be given to just
everybody.
And like you said, they are pros coming in. You're gonna. I'm sorry, Alex. You were gonna say
no, yeah, and you said earlier that Cain. You felt that Cain was that dominating. I don't personally feel that because he wasn't, to me, doing that sort of damage to Silva. With what we were seeing, he wasn't doing the damage. I think it was stopped because Silva wasn't actually doing anything to get out of that position.
Yeah, I actually felt the first fight, that Cain was more dominant that first fight.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Because he kicked his ass, I guess, over a longer period of time.
And there was more
controlled him on the ground. Well, that always helps.
But kind of like what Sean said, as a judge, as a voting, on the rankings, if you tell me it's not a foul, then that makes it legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me those punches were not illegal, then he threw 18 hammer fists and stopped the fight, and that was dominating. It's not fair to us to sit back and say, well, they were illegal strikes.
Yeah.
So we're not going to. As a judge,
count.
right?
Yeah.
As a judge, I've seen guys, they hold the fence. Well, I know that's illegal, but unless you take the point off as the ref, I can't do anything about it.
Right.
And still, the guys that before I had above Cain, they don't go in and dominate.
Yeah.
Like the way Cain won, don't like the way Cain won. He dominated over Benson Henderson's fights.
Yeah, Benson, I mean, it's like the running joke now is like, did he win or didn't he win? But they give it to him.
And that's why I lowered, and that's why I had Cain, leapfrog.
And I can understand that. It was interesting because I said that, if Bigfoot could if he could kind of absorb that first storm of Cain, that this is going to be a really interesting fight. And I felt a little slighted because I felt like when he shook off those, I think maybe 2 takedown attempts, I thought, okay, this could get interesting here. And then it ended shortly thereafter. I thought for a second there, I thought Cain was going to be in for a really long night. And because it looked like that was his game plan. It'd take him down. We're going to take him down. We're going to wrestle him.
Right.
It got stuffed a couple times. He went to plan B and said, I'm going to throw a heavy right hand. And good God, that thing.
And it worked.
Landed on his massive face.
Bigfoot said at the press conference, he thought that they were stopping him because of the illegal punches. He thought he would have had time. He thought it got stopped early.
Yeah.
And then he said through the translator, I'm taking nothing away from Cain. Cain won the fight, so, he kind of appealed, but he wasn't saying it. And it's not Cain's fault.
No.
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying.
Yeah.
Well, and he's putting it all on the ref. He's not taking it out on Cain. He's not saying it's his fault.
It's not saying it's a lucky punch.
Because he wasn't the one that stopped the fight early.
Yeah. I think Bigfoot's a pro, and I think this heavyweight division we said last week. This is a fun division right now. This has some really, really good fights lined up.
Depending.
Listen, the trilogy.
But after that, everybody wants Cormier, but he's not. It's not going to happen.
After who? After wants Cormier who?
After JDS does this fight, people are saying, I think what will happen next will be Cormier, the winner of the Verdum fight, and then the winner of that would fight for the title. But if Cormier wins, poor Roy Nelson, and if Cormier wins that fight, if that's what happens, because Roy just got, and we know why. Let's talk about Roy Nelson when we come back, because he is the smartest man on the planet. We'll do that when we return. And I guess Roy wanted to play some hardball and, didn't want to renegotiate yet or whatever. So Dana called him, the smartest man on the planet, being a little sarcastic. And at the press conference afterwards, Ariel Helwani showed Dana White a T-shirt that Roy Nelson was wearing. Not the same shirt because he gave Ariel one. And it says, world's smartest man, in quotations or whatever. Dana, did it say DFW?
No,
or did it just say DW?
I think it said like Dana F. White.
Okay, Dana.
Yeah.
Which means the same thing, DF.
But yes.
He thought it was classic, and I'm sure people will buy that.
They go back and forth with little jabs, but there is a lot of truth and underlying, annoyance.
On both sides?
I mean, I think more from Dana. I feel like Roy feels like he is smarter, is controlling his own kind of destiny. I think Dana, gets a little pissed off, almost like, hey, just get in line and let's do business. And it's always something with Roy. He has one fight left on his deal.
Right. Where's he going to go?
Exactly.
Right. Where's he going to go? Why are you even?
Why play out the string?
Why play like this? Because
why are you? Yeah. Why leverage?
What if Dana says, God forbid he loses this fight? Now Roy is going to try to renegotiate or whatever, and Dana's like, you know what? Not interested.
Oops.
Yeah.
Even though I love watching Roy fight. Roy
I think,
comes to fight.
And I think Dana does too.
Sure. Because he wins.
Right. And he knocks people out and he stands and he fights. I mean, there's all those things, but from a business perspective, dollars and cents wise, Roy has no leverage in this. Let's say he wins in spectacular fashion. Where does he go? It's going to pay him and give him the exposure and give him all the notoriety, all the other things.
There is no place.
Thank you. So what are you doing, man? He should be re-ing up, looking for a 4-fight deal, whatever. Like
looking for a 10-fight deal. What do you mean 4 or 5?
Well, they're not giving him 10.
Well, I'm just saying, look for it.
Right.
They gave it to Anderson. I know that. I know.
Thank you.
But I'm just saying.
Right. I mean, make that your home.
Make it a longer contract, take a little less money, try to throw in some guarantees, why would you want to leave? The whole object is to always move up. Speaking of which, Nick Newell, is handicapped the right word? Is that what we say?
I think he's got an advantage personally.
You're fucking crazy.
Not at all. Not at all. When you think about it, if somebody punches you with their fist, how many times have we seen somebody actually get suspended because they have a broken hand afterwards after a fight? Hold on. Even Johnny Hendricks said that.
Here's the beauty. Hold on. All right, I'm going to let you finish. I just want to say one thing. For once, I'm not saying the stupidest thing on the show.
Okay, so
we still got an hour.
That's true.
So
you did say that Jens Pulver should go in the Hall of Fame.
This tops it.
I don't know about that. So even Johnny Hendricks said that he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to use his left hand in his last fight because he felt he broke it. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So cut it off?
No. What I'm saying is that can affect your fight. Nick Newell does not have to worry about that because he is actually punching you with just his basically his wrist.
Can he use that?
Yeah, he punches with it.
I haven't seen.
Yeah, he punches with it. So you're using an entire one solid.
What if he breaks his right hand? Then he's just got that thing.
Well, then you don't have to worry. Then you don't have to worry about ours.
We're not talking about that right now. Also, if you think about it, if somebody's going for a submission, there's a lot of wrist holds, wrist locks. You can't do that with him on one of his arms. Make sense?
No.
Oh my God.
No. It doesn't make sense.
I'd rather start with 2 and break 1 and still
than
start with 1, break 1, and have none.
You're right. He's not entering the ring with an advantage in any way, shape, or form. And I don't mean to say this as a dick, but he's what he's accomplished is unbelievable.
Successful.
It's unbelievable. Every time, not only every time he wins, every time he competes, I think it's unbelievable what he's doing, and it's not because he has an advantage. Absolutely not. I mean, there are two. I understand what you're saying, but there's also an opportunity to break feet when you're kicking. When you're landing
break
kicks.
The other hand.
Go in with all your extremities working. All 4 of them working versus 3. I think you go with all 4 and take the chances.
I wasn't going to give out the phone numbers all night, but if somebody wants to call to talk to you about it, Wags, 855-483-6646.
Please do.
Feel free to do that. What I was getting at, with the Roy Nelson thing is
I wasn't done with him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But go on.
No, go.
No, you ruined it.
No,
let's
go back.
I lost my train of thought.
God, say it again, Wags, to get him back on it.
No, Roy Nelson. You want to go?
No, I was talking about
$24.95 on RoyNelson.com.
Okay. I was talking
about
Nick Newell, the fact that he went to a bigger organization. He took a step up. Some people may disagree with that. I don't.
People of the XFC.
Yeah, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. Still, World Series of Fighting, I think he's going to get. I think Nick Newell got everything he wanted on this.
I don't.
Sure.
I don't.
More exposure?
More exposure,
Absolutely.
A bigger organization, or an organization that has 2 former UFC fighters, on the main card next. I would much rather, if I was fight for WSOF, than I would the XFC.
How many times have you seen an XFC fight televised?
Me personally or Joe Public?
Joe Public.
Oh, they're on.
Access TV.
Yeah, I mean it's on.
News
I'm
to
not.
me.
Well, I mean it's on. I'm not going to be a total, but I've never watched it.
They get covered differently.
Sure,
they do, and you're right,
and they're treated differently.
Yeah, this is a step up, and I don't care what people would say. This is definitely a step up because this is the closest thing that UFC, them and Bellator is kind of the biggest threat. I don't want to say threat because they're not a threat, but it's a step up from the XFC, and good for him.
Absolutely.
And as Sean said, more exposure. NBC Sports reach is way bigger than Access TV, and it's a great story. I mean, this guy's busted his ass. Who would have thought he would have the success he did in the XFC? I remember when Wegs brought this up on our notes, like when his first fight in the XFC, and we were talking like, how's a guy with one hand going to win? We came back the next week, that guy won, and all of a sudden, here we go. Like we know his name, and he's coming on, and good for him for getting this.
And I still say I couldn't tell you everybody he's fought, but I know that he fought Eric Reynolds. Eric Reynolds, a local Tampa Bay guy who's fought Eddie Alvarez. I mean, a pretty damn good fighter, fought him and beat him.
Yeah.
This guy's legit. And being at the World Series of Fighting, being on NBC Sports, you wait and see the exposure that he's going to get now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait and see the sponsorship this kid's going to get. I could see somebody doing a movie about him now. I really can.
It's an inspiring story.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. And I read a lot of people saying, like, well, what if he goes there and loses? World Series of Fighting really, takes it on the chin. No, they don't. They're going to get some great coverage for this guy. And not only that, like, I felt like when he originally started, it was, I probably use this term, and a freak show type fight.
Right.
That XFC was doing this strictly because
Publicity stunt.
Yeah. And we'll put him in there with someone who sucks. He'll get a win, and it'll be a story that grabs that headline for those 2 weeks. No, I mean he's made this thing from a short story to a long narrative that he's in it in this thing for the long haul. And so what if he goes to the World Series of Fight and loses? If he loses first one out the gate, again, he's accomplished way more than so many other people who would ever even imagine, me included.
I'm going to say one step even further because I would imagine 99.9% of the people that have said all the negative things about Nick Newell have never fought and have never even trained. So he's done 1,000% more than almost everybody that's thought negative about him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I will watch his fight in the World Series of Fighting. I'm intrigued to watch it. I can't wait for it to happen. And I believe the next World Series of Fighting, according to Ray when he was on this program, is going to be in Florida.
Oh.
I mean, that's what he said.
They've already, I believe the one's already scheduled for Vegas.
No, there's one coming up in Vegas in June. I'm saying the one after that. There's one in a couple weeks with Fitch.
And then he's trying to come down.
Yeah, I'm not saying him. I'm throwing that out. Ray mentioned when he was on that they were coming to Florida, and I thought it was next, and then this one popped up in Vegas, and, make it closer for Team Knockout Radio to show up.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Nick does not have a fight lined up quite yet.
Well,
No,
I understand that.
Yeah, he just did the deal.
I understand that. I don't even believe World Series of Fighting has announced when their next event is.
No, you're right. Yeah,
And that's what I'm saying.
Agreeing with you.
I am.
By the way.
I am willing.
I was reiterating your point. Yeah.
I am willing to take that bet, that TJ Grant huge underdog bet, that Nick Newell will be on the next card.
Yeah.
Jump while it's hot. Jump while the story's there.
That's why you sign them.
Exactly.
They're not in position to have guys on the shelf. If you have a contract, you're going to be fighting.
Real good news out of the Olympic Committee today. I don't know if you guys happen to see that.
Didn't see it.
3 sports make the short list.
There's a surprise on there.
Yeah, squash.
I was saying baseball and softball.
I'm not surprised about that.
I'm surprised with baseball.
I am.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm surprised with baseball. The MLB and stuff, they're doing this the World Baseball Classic
Right
now.
Well, Major League Baseball doesn't want Major League Baseball involved in the Olympics.
Right.
That's half the reason of the World
Well, they
Baseball
took
Classic.
right, but I mean that's why have the Olympics as well if you're doing that. Like I'm surprised that the Olympic Committee's doing it. Softball, I understand. Like,
But if they
for
put in
softball,
they're going to put in
Right.
baseball.
right?
It's-
Which is weird. That's the you're right. The male female, but
I really thought
feel like those could really be.
I really
completely
thought
different.
that they got rid of baseball, softball because of softball. not because of baseball.
Right.
They don't want a country totally dominating year in and year out, especially when it's a U.S. team.
Yeah.
We
Honestly,
lost the last
yeah.
one.
It,
And we lost the last
It
one.
was a victim. We were a victim of our of our own success
Right.
on that. We were just that dominant that other countries were just like, yeah, let's forget
Then
that.
I feel a whole lot better now than I did about 20 minutes ago, because if baseball's not going to make it back, because one of these three will make it back.
Yeah.
I like wrestling's chances
I
over
love
squash.
wrestling's
Absolutely.
chances. I really do. I think that
It's a disgrace that we're even having to discuss
right,
this.
but the groundswell. I think when you talk about that, I feel like
has it been big?
I feel like it has
Not
been.
just here.
right.
I'm saying we don't know.
I feel like it's been talked about, and there has been more of a groundswell. I feel like people get baseball. You know, they get it in other outlets where there wouldn't
Sure.
be that outrage. Oh, who gives a crap? It's not in the Olympics. You know,
Yeah.
it sucks that softball gets dragged down with it. Where I feel good about their chances, and I hope so.
The thing that I'll need to do at the next couple of UFCs, we'll get with our Swedish buddies, and we'll get with Oliver and some of the foreign media that comes in. I would be curious: has it been such an uproar in Germany? Has it been such an uproar in England?
Right.
Like we feel it has, because it's
Yeah.
our sport and we're around it. Because again, if it comes down to we're the only ones that's bitching and screaming, it's not coming back.
Oh, I don't think it's that way at all.
Well, that's what I'd like to
Yeah,
find
I
out.
definitely think it's been
Eastern Europe.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to send you WEGs
Especially
all
there.
around the world.
Sweet.
We're going to send you to different countries.
Yes.
And I want you to check it out and see if they're as upset. And
But you have to wrestle there too.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be worth it.
I'll get my ass handed
You
to
get
me
stretched
every
for
single
you get
time.
stretched for 10 minutes to get a free trip to Dubai, right? Who cares?
All right.
I'm giving you the floor because you believe there's a conspiracy going on.
Oh, there always could be a conspiracy. Just talking about the
Even though there was a tweeted picture of
Yeah,
ahead.
I didn't see it.
Talk about it.
The Cats and Gano no longer a part of Tough 18.
Oh, you're calling conspiracy on it? You're
Yeah.
calling
Hey,
bullshit?
I did. I did. When I saw it, I go, I'm sure they ran it through so many times saying, this isn't going to work. The other fight will sell better. We put all our eggs in one basket and it failed.
So get scrubbed up and throw this on
Why
your
are
knee.
you
let us
training? The
snap
fight's
it.
not going to happen until New Year's.
You train all the time.
No, you don't.
A
You
pro
talk
does
to-
in the gym. And
if
I
you're
think
Chael P. Sonnen, you do.
well,
He
a
doesn't-
lot of
what is it?
TJ
He
Grant's teaching tonight, right?
He's
I mean,
teaching. He's not training.
I'm
He's
sure
teaching.
he's bouncing around.
you
a
can get
little
hurt
bit.
walking across the street. You can get hurt playing basketball.
And I
You
think
can-
if I read the quote right, she was doing some agility drills.
Yes.
Is how she
No
got
reason
hurt.
to be doing any of that stuff. No reason.
You should be
gotta-
sitting your ass in a bubble until you
got-
sign the
You've
contract.
got a
That's when
contract
you
to sign,
open
you got a
camp.
TV show to do. You do the TV show, then you focus on that.
really,
Crazy.
so don't get in.
Don't leave your bed.
Nope.
Just don't.
Nope. You're in the
Really?
house.
Leave.
Yeah, you're in the house.
Yeah, two of my favorite
So now,
topics
now
in one
she
show.
gets the next title shot.
Well, no,
we
she
all
won't.
know. Well, that's what Dana said.
Well,
But we all know how that happens, Rashad.
I mean, there's a lot of them. Matt Lindman.
So now Misha
Well,
Tate wins. She's going to get the rematch.
Listen,
'cause they have to give it.
There's
to her.
only 4 women in contract. She'll get her shot.
There might be
eventually.
No,
5.
I think there's
It'll
11.
11.
I think
now.
there's 11.
and there's 10 that are ranked.
Yep.
Right. Well, she's already. I mean, I don't think conspiracy. I mean, I don't think the UFC was crying either when they got the call.
It's bittersweet.
That's for sure.
They're
Yeah.
like,
Definitely.
thank you.
Sucks for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sucks for you. I was shocked that they were able to keep it under wraps. I guess everything I read was as far as everyone knew at the house. Like they began taping yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it
And
was yesterday,
that's
yeah.
when the people found out. Like Misha Tate
she wasn't
walks.
there.
Misha Tate walks in, and
Rousey.
Rousey's corner, and Rousey's like, "What the fuck?"
I'm sure
Like
they said
Rou-
exactly
well,
that.
Rousey-
No, Rousey said that they said that Rousey was looking for Dana to be like, "What the hell's going
Yeah,
on?" Like
she
was
ran
stalking
out.
him. Her corner, her
Right.
team that was there was up in arms. I mean, that first episode's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit about women's MMA. Have I mentioned that before? Hall of Fame and women's MMA all in one show.
Pound for pound list. Too.
Yeah, let's throw that in at the end.
MMA Roasted just tweeted a couple minutes ago, Misha Tate just threw her arm a going away party.
Well done. Well done.
So Luke Rockhold, who lost
That's
his last
another
fight.
conspiracy that I've read. Have you read this one?
Yeah.
With him?
Yeah.
He nodded?
Yeah.
He accepted the head
Right,
kick?
yeah.
He said, throw it now?
Now's the
throw
time.
it now?
And go.
He did the job? Yeah.
I'm the former Strikeforce champion, but I'm going to take a dive.
Right.
Go ahead and hit me. It's all right.
Yeah, I came all the way to Brazil to lay down. That's something that he would do. Because he nodded.
Luke Rockhold,
Can't feign anymore.
a little arrogant, a little conceited.
Yes.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
he's going to, go ahead and hit me. Go ahead and knock me out.
Right.
Yeah, it's only going to hurt for a second.
Ridiculous.
So that's number one. Then he goes and calls out Michael Bisping.
Well, that's what you do at that weight
Give
class.
me Bisping.
That's what you do after a loss too. Take Bisping.
Especially
I want
after a
Bisping.
a loss. You lose, you call up Bisping in that weight division. That's standard operating procedure at this point.
And then what's the standard first tweet from Michael Bisping?
Go fuck yourself.
It was very close. It was win a UFC
Win a
fight
fight
first.
yeah. Win one first, and then come talk to you.
And to be real honest, the fight makes sense for Rockhold. It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense for Bisping.
No, it makes no sense. Well,
Anybody underneath makes sense.
Well, exactly. You always call out
I'll
somebody
fight
above
him
you.
too. Come on, let's go.
Bisping, I mean, he's having this neck and shoulder surgery too. I mean, not the guy to be calling out right now.
Now he's going to say he's scared. He needed the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
He's ducking him.
You didn't
He's
want
ducking
to
him.
fight me?
But I mean, yeah, people call out Bisping. It at this point, is it news? Like, can't we just assume that if anyone's
The next
fighting at that weight division, that if they lose, Bisping's the next guy?
Yeah.
Shit, even if they win,
Yeah.
they're calling out Bisping.
So Bigfoot, and I started to get to it in his Portuguese with the interpreter, said he would like to see referees being reprimanded, referees being docked,
Yeah.
referees being held accountable. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this back up when they make mistakes. With that said, is there something that the mixed martial arts world, the boxing commissions can do above taking 20% off for fat people who don't make weight?
I mean, it's I believe so.
I hate it. It's the most disrespectful thing in the sport.
What, missing weight?
Missing weight.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Okay.
And then the
so
guy
what are you saying? You want more than the 20%?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would your solution be?
Possibly call the fight off.
Oh,
Screw the fighter. Still reward the guy who did make weight.
How you reward him? How he doesn't get to fight? That's a reward.
Well, you still pay him. You still do whatever.
so are you going to have a pay-per-view fight with 3 fights on it?
Well, first of all, only one guy didn't make weight on Saturday, to the best of my knowledge.
Right, but if this happens in the future and it happens to somebody on a pay-per-view that's on the main card, you take that entire fight out, what? You're going to have a pay-per-view with 3 fights?
I'm going to be Dana White for the next 10 seconds. You don't make weight, you're done. We don't need you. You know, and I hate to use the analogy of any sports team, and you've dealt with enough. If you're the A guy, yeah, we kiss ass a little bit. If you're the D guy, the guy that fell asleep at a red light, in Pinellas Park, you're cut. I know he's an up-and-coming guy. I can't even pronounce his name, and I won't even attempt to.
Nurmagomedov?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what Madoff has to do with it, but whatever. I wouldn't have rewarded him. I would have screwed him more than 20%.
I just think
There's an advantage to coming in, not making weight.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, it is the most unprofessional thing that you can do. You sign the contract most of these times 2 months, 3 months out, where they give you plenty of time to make weight. It's an agreed upon weight. It's not a surprise. So yeah, that is BS for missing. That being said, for the UFC to say we don't need you, for that card, they probably need him. They promoted him. People are paying money to see the fighter. Like Weg said, you're screwing the audience out of it. You give him the 20%. You reward the guy who he's fighting by throwing him some more.
But he got 10%. The other fighter gets 10%. The commission gets 10%. I don't think that's enough. I don't think it's a big enough penalty.
But that's the commission's penalty,
right?
Correct?
I'm saying so. Organization and commission, organization, whoever, step up and do something else.
And I'm looking up the money right now because when it comes down to it, a lot of these guys that are running into this issue in the first place
are the lower tier guys.
They're
who
not
aren't making,
getting a lot of money in the first place. So actually 20% is a lot of money to these guys.
No, it's not.
Khabib made $28,000, and that was with a $14,000 win bonus. So
he made $14,000 without the win.
Right.
So if you cancel that fight, he's only getting $14,000. And he hasn't paid out his
the guy who
yet.
won or the guy who lost.
The guy who
didn't make weight.
The guy who did not make weight made $28,000 because he was 14 and 14.
Okay.
But 20% was fined from his purse. So that's what, $5,600. So you take that out.
It's not enough.
I mean, if you want to send a message,
you send a message.
Send a message. And again, but that's on the commission. That's not on that. That's a boxing thing. That's that has nothing.
It makes more sense to come in overweight, which means that
right, get the win and get a
and get
bigger
the win,
fight,
right.
and get bigger
and
fights.
lose $5,000, then come in and do whatever you need to do to lose those extra pounds, and now you're depleted. Blah blah blah.
Here's one: you take the show because you didn't show up at the agreed upon.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
You signed a document. You didn't show up that way.
Yeah,
and you're getting paid to show up.
I'd
that
be
way.
fine with that. Listen, I'm fine for heavy punishments on it. I don't think you yank the fight and
I would go with that.
and screw the
You
fan.
come in overweight, you don't get paid. You still have to fight,
You
and
don't
if
get
you
the
win,
show, and if you win, you win.
no, and if
And
you win,
you're
you get the
fighting
win
for the
bonus.
win bonus,
You're
then.
fighting for the win bonus. You get paid to show up in the proper shape, meaning
Well,
make
not shape
weight.
because BJ
Make
Penn
weight.
never showed up in shape.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Twice.
He was a marshmallow.
Yeah, he
He
South.
was
But
a
you,
marshmallow.
You didn't show up.
at the agreed,
the
upon.
agreed upon.
Yeah,
That's rough.
I'm a huge proponent for that. I mean, of any kind of anything that curbs missing weight, because I agree with you. It's the most unprofessional thing.
And then the shove at the weigh-in too. You didn't see that?
yeah. Well, and
Do a nice shove in.
yeah,
after.
a serious one, and then Bert kind of went a little overboard and put his hands on him, but from what I understand, fighter who doesn't make weight goes up to fighter who does make weight in the back to pretty much tell him, hey, listen, dude, I'm not going to make weight, and there was a little scuffle kind of thing in the back that started it. So then when they get up on stage,
It spilled
it
out.
kind of got escalated, and from what I understand, more than one person putting their hands, on them, and you shouldn't, couldn't, can't do that.
Hey, you're splitting shit up. People
You got
get
Mike
grabby.
Tyson standing there. You don't
Yeah.
need anybody else
That's
getting
true.
involved.
That's true. But I mean, back to your point, as far as the referees getting docked, that happens in all of sports. These referees have, a head of officiating that they have to report to, and whether I don't think they get fined, but they certainly miss assignments. They don't get playoff games, which means they're not getting money for those games. So there are ways, and I wish there was a way that you could go back and judge
Sure.
the refs and grade them, and not for the sake of calling them out, because I think that's what a lot of people think it is. Like they want that to say, screw you, Mario Yamasaki, you effed up, and it should cost you $5,000. The goal should be just to get them better.
Yeah.
More
no,
consistent.
absolutely. You just want what's best. And really, let's don't complain too much about the referees. What's her face didn't ref.
Kim Winslow was off the card.
Right. So,
Or Joey Crawford.
so things were much, much better. They can always get better. I mean,
Sure.
that is for sure. Have you heard the rumor that's floating around about Anderson
Which
Silva?
one?
Oh, about Anderson? Yeah, I heard.
Anderson's camp and
Now,
Dana White
right,
both claim.
But who started that fire?
Who knows?
It's ridiculous.
Probably Ed Sorens or, just to get the word out there or whatever.
Just to get it going.
Yeah.
I saw Hawani tweeting today about he followed up with Dana and the people with Anderson. They were claiming another rib injury for him in training, and all for naught. All for naught.
Yeah, they still got 5 weeks to heal.
He's fine.
He's definitely fine.
Nothing
fine.
happened anyway.
What's going on? What's this whole Bellator Paul Daly thing? Is anybody up on that?
Yeah.
What's
Hey.
going on?
They're talking. He went on a little Facebook Facebook rant
Facebook,
today,
Twitter, he did everything.
calling out Bellator. I guess he's having issues with his visa getting over into the States for Bellator fights. Now I'm giving a quick summary, and there could be a lot of details that fall in between. But he's looking to book fights overseas for himself, and he has to run it past Bellator first, and they're shooting down his opportunities to fight. So I think from his standpoint, he's saying, well, listen, if I can't get over there and fight, I need to earn, and I'm a fighter. And I guess from Bellator's side, they're saying, well, you're our contracted fighter, and we don't want you fighting on other people's cards, even though they would get a cut of the money, I believe. So it's always something with this guy. I mean, it is always something with Paul Daly, and I think his antics in the past have
Reputation.
Yeah, I mean I have a hard time feeling sorry for him. This is and I have a hard time feeling sorry for Bjorn in Bellator, because what you're getting
Right.
into. If War Machine goes on another Twitter rant or goes crazy, are we going to be like, wow, War Machine? Oh, I feel bad. Like, these things.
It says, just got word from Bellator has refused to allow me to fight.
This is Paul Daly?
Yeah, yet another opponent. It's becoming really frustrating that even though they are not my managers, they can approve my fights.
Yeah.
I also just got a tweet that I need to give out the question again. In order to register for the VIP tickets to the WCFL, which is June 29th at the Hilton in downtown Tampa to sit at the Post It, Share It, Sell It.com VIP table with UFC Matt Hamill. All you have to do is tweet the answer to the following question. Of Matt Hamill's pro MMA fights, how many were not in the UFC?
And back to Paul Daly, he wouldn't have had to deal with any of this stuff if he didn't throw a punch after the bell.
Is that what?
He was brought over to the UFC. He threw a punch at Koscheck after, and then Dana said, "You're done."
But I believe this is all. It also has to do, though, it's visa issues.
But
getting him
saying,
to the state. You're saying if he doesn't throw that punch, he's still in the
money,
UFC. He's still
because he has to pay his own legal stuff.
Yeah.
For this, I think the UFC would take care of that stuff.
All the visa issues and getting them over.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
or
probably
at least
right.
compensate them in a way. You just have to play the game.
I feel Bellator is well within their rights to say no.
Oh, absolutely.
To turn him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, the purse he'd be making over there has to be pretty minimal, and you're risking one of your fighters and a name fighter for you, to go fight in a one-off.
The first
time
Bellator was here, he fought, and that was a big deal. Even though it was just
that was in Tampa. Yeah,
it wasn't a tournament fight.
It was a showcase fight,
but it was just Paul Daly's here. And everybody wanted to see the Paul Daly fight.
So the Bellator contracts, which we've discussed about the Eddie Alvarez ordeal and the whole 9 yards. It's in the contract that they're allowing their fighter to fight for another organization.
With a booking fee.
With approval. No, with approval and that they get money.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting in what way?
For that exact reason. You don't want that. Zuffa did it once when they sent Chuck over to Pride.
But is it attractive for the lesser known guys? Now you're getting guys who aren't names that, hey, listen, this guy might not sell a lick here, but if he wants to go take some fights and he's not really a draw for us, we're still going to get some money. So sure, go fight. Go fight, and we'll take a $3,000 check or whatever, for your appearance on a Saturday night, which we didn't have you booked anyway.
But if your company is,
and especially if you got the final say.
No, I understand all that, but if your company is driven by a $3,000 check, then your company's not anywhere near where it needs to be. And with the backing that Bellator has, if that's their big draw, hey, we're going to get a check for $3,000. You know what I'm saying? Do you really want to put your fighter out there? God forbid.
But you're not putting. I mean, the risk reward there is
it's
what?
$3,000 for free.
There's no risk. You lose a fighter you didn't even have booked coming up anyway. You didn't see much potential in. Isn't a name? Is it? Okay,
but it's marketed as Bellator.
Exactly.
Fighter Paul Daly.
So the risk is. Joe Story, I shouldn't use that name because Rick Story just fought. It just came out. Said fighter beats Bellator fighter Paul Daly.
Awesome. Let's look at.
For who?
Let's look at signing him.
Who?
Let's look at signing the guy who beat Paul.
Sign this guy. He doesn't have a visa issue. Bring him over.
Yeah.
We need a fighter.
Yeah. You got a name. It's you don't. I mean, your guys aren't protected like that. You're fighting under our banner. You might lose. Oh, okay. You lost. Who'd you lose to? Let's look at him.
All right, we are reaching out. Frank has been making the phone calls to TJ Grant up in Old Canada. Obviously not finished his training, so we're hoping to still get him before the end of the hour. But let's touch base on, and it's funny because we talked about it in the press room, in the media room, that there's certain guys that when they walk in the room, and they were mainly talking about Fedor at the time, and how they were talking about John Jones being in Russia, and John Jones and Fedor were tweeting pictures, and that Fedor is that guy. That when he walks in a room, everybody stops.
The attitude changes.
Everything.
Yeah.
And in every sport, there's
Jordan.
that guy. Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
Usain Bolt. Somebody walks in and you go,
yeah.
Mike Tyson's that guy.
Oh, no doubt
And
about
when
it.
Mike Tyson walked on the stage at the weigh-ins, the entire crowd went berserk and got dead stone silent at the same time.
Yeah, it's like I think Dana's description of it was the best thing I heard. He said Tyson is like he turns guys like his age and your age and our age into Bieber fans.
Oh, absolutely.
He's like to Justin because
is Keyshawn looking for you too?
Right. You just lose your shit.
Yeah.
Like you don't know whether to shit or wind your watch. Like you're just like Mike Tyson's here. What the hell? Like, why am I here?
Yep.
Why is he here? Is shit about to go down? Do I have to grab something? Like, you just don't know what happens. He's that dude.
With the exception of one guy, and of course, I don't remember who it was, they all went up to Mike Tyson at the weigh-in.
Yeah.
They got weighed in. They walked over. They shook Dana's
yeah.
hand. Some shook Tyson's hand first.
A lot of them did, yeah.
One guy didn't even acknowledge Tyson, but, whatever. But everybody else, it was just cool to
even
watch.
after the fights. I mean, you talk about after the fights. Everyone,
look at Teixeira.
Everyone was jumping over the fence or pointing at Mike. It's unbelievable the presence that guy has. And Ali's another guy. He walks in a room, even at his stage now, and everyone just quiet. I mean, I remember
I've had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, we were in a press box in Carolina playing the Panthers one time, and Jordan walked through. And there's a bunch of sports writers who've covered great athletes who, this is the area that they're used to. And we were all standing there watching the NFL games. We were like a 4:00 kickoff, and through comes Jordan, and the silence started at one end of the room, and as Mike walked through, he just dragged the silence with him. And as he left, that it would pick up like a bunch of whispers. It's like, oh shit, that's Mike.
We did have the opportunity to meet Mike Tyson and I know I will get shit for this one, but
no, you will. I won't.
Well, we both should.
Tito Ortiz's?
It was Tito Ortiz's birthday party.
There you go.
And Mike Tyson was there, and Sean and I sat next to him and talked to him for a minute or two.
First we sat down, it was like exactly what you said.
Yep.
Holy shit, Mike Tyson's right next to us.
Well,
scoot away. Stay away.
No. First we walked into the ropes. Tito brought us in, and et cetera, et cetera. The only place to sit, honestly, there was two spots on this couch next to Tyson.
Hey, Mike, you mind scooting over?
Yeah, so we kind of looked at, that's like, somebody tweeted, hey, Mike, can you get out of the way? We're trying to take a picture of Little John.
Right.
He was blocking him. But we kind of looked at each other like, do we, don't we? Fuck it. And we jumped over and we sat down next to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap, we're talking to Mike Tyson.
One of the funniest moments. It was a World Series game when like the Marlins were in the World Series, and they show a shot of the crowd, and there's Mike, fresh off his face tattoo, like in the mix of Mike Tyson, like just shitstorm of a person, this and that, and he's sitting there, and next to him are like two 12, 13-year-old boys, who I'm sure their dad, some, CEO had the great seats, and sitting next to Tyson, and it's silent, and Joe Buck is calling the game, and he just goes, hey, Mom and Dad, guess who I sat next to in the game? I mean, he's that guy. And those guys had that, that respect for him. And I think it's great that, the relationship that, he and Dana have, he and the UFC have, because as a boxing fan myself, like, I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Oh, I agree.
You can just respect combat.
Yeah, it's separate, right?
But you can respect combat sports.
Absolutely.
And I think Mike goes there and, he can respect what those guys are doing. And then he shows up, next Saturday at a fight on Showtime and appreciates what they're doing.
I enjoyed watching Tyson enjoy himself.
Yeah.
Meaning
he's into it.
He wasn't there as a figurehead. He wasn't there just, hey, Dana asked me to come.
Right.
He was clapping. He's a fan, and he was a fan of the fighters. And for the fighters to come over and shake his hand, and it seemed genuine on both sides. And for Teixeira, who I guess he said watches Mike Tyson knockouts the night before every one of his fights, to then go and get your little speech from Dana in the back before you walk out of the weigh-in, and there's Mike Tyson.
Right. There's your idol, your main guy. I think that's awesome to show that. I mean, it's like when I went to local fights here in Tampa all the time, boxing fights, and Angelo Dundee, when he was alive, would go to those fights, and not as a figurehead just to sign autographs. Angelo would be sitting there, and it was like he was cornering every guy. He was bobbing with every punch.
Boxing or
when
MMA?
They were doing boxing.
Because he would do the same at MMA.
Yeah. And he it wouldn't matter if the guy was 0-2-1 fighting a 1-0-1 guy. I mean, he was into it, and it's just awesome to see that respect and that understanding of just what those guys are going through.
And one thing, going back to Tyson, apparently he has some pull with the UFC.
You think?
I would think so.
He was the one that granted TJ Grant his knockout of the night.
So I was.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I was
vetoed Dana.
I was going to ask TJ, and hopefully we still have a couple minutes to try to get in touch with him. But that was one of my first questions. Will you name your child, your first child, your next child, after Mike Tyson?
I didn't realize he gave that knockout of the night.
Yeah,
Dana was going to give
$50,000.
it to JDS, and Mike Tyson stepped in and told Dana no.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm sure it was planted, set up that way, but that's
I don't
still
know.
cool.
I don't know.
I do.
You know me. I'm the most naive
I know.
guy.
And I know that Mike Tyson wouldn't think twice about stepping on Dana's toes during anything.
Sure.
It was a good setup. I like the story. Good.
Oh,
Go
it's a
with
great
it.
story.
Yeah, go with it.
It's a great story.
Go with it.
And that's what was announced, and everybody has said it, so we're going to stick with it.
Sure.
And I think TJ should name, his next child Tyson.
Tyson?
Yeah.
Or at least the car he buys for that $50,000, something like that.
He's
Right.
going to get married
Yeah.
pretty soon. TJ Grant is going to get
October.
married.
Well, that'll cover some costs.
They'll cover half of it.
Some.
That's
right,
why he wants
right.
to get this next fight in before.
Before the wedding?
Yeah.
Now, are they talking about possibly this fight going on that Fox 1 card?
They're talking, from what I heard, either Boston or Toronto.
Okay.
Now, TJ, I believe, would much rather it be
Toronto.
Toronto. And TJ just texted me to say, call me again. So we'll only have about 8 or 9 minutes with him, but Frank's going to get a hold of TJ right now. And then, we can find out some of that. But I guess TJ saying he would rather Toronto, but you know me, the dark guy, the evil guy, the heel in your wrestling sport. Isn't it better? Entertainment.
Right.
Sorry. You go to Boston as a Canadian and beat the U.S. champion?
Listen, here's what I feel like is you're the challenger. Where you don't dictate where it goes.
Understand.
You don't dictate where it goes. If they say no, we're in Boston.
I think it will be Boston.
Show Boston. I mean, he came out I think relatively unscathed, ready to go. Henderson is obviously ready to go. He came out with no major injuries, and I think they're still looking to fill that top fight.
And Dana wants to make Boston a
huge
super card.
Yeah, he wants to make it huge.
And adding to the tragedy of what happened. And you said something earlier, and I meant to jump in, about legendary whatever. Did you see the two guys throw out the first pitch at Fenway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out if TJ will name, one of his children after Mike Tyson, as I believe we have TJ Grant on the line. TJ, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Appreciate your time. You still living life big, or are you starting to because I saw some of your interviews saying that it hasn't sunk in yet. Has it sunk in now?
Yeah, it's definitely sunk in. I mean, I just literally I apologize for not being on a little sooner. I'm eating some sushi here, and I just saw a picture. I don't know if it's real or not, but it looks like a UFC poster here. I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, no, man, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to fight whenever they say, and I'm just looking forward to the whole, opportunity that's in front of me.
Did it bother you? And I know that I came up and talked to you on Thursday, and everybody was saying the underdog, and everybody was putting up what the numbers were. Do you aware of that? Do you think about that, or that motivates you even more?
I don't really let any of it play into my mind at all. Really, I expected to be the underdog coming into this fight. Not many people know my name, and it was cool flying under the radar for so long. To tell you the truth. But things are changing, man, and this is where I want to be. And if you keep winning fights like I wanted to do, then I expected what's to come, and I'm in a good place. I'm happy right now.
We are on the phone with TJ Grant. Let me just expand on what you just said, that it was good to fly under the radar. Well, A, your next fight is against the champion for the title, and B, I don't think you're under the radar anymore after the performance.
This is true. I've been putting in a lot of hard work, man, for years, and I feel like just flying under the radar has kind of enabled me to, just keep improving as a fighter and not really be in the spotlight. But you know what? I've had fights against some really good opponents, and I've learned along the way, and I kept growing, and I feel like I'm where I'm at for a reason. I'm in the spot I am right now, and I'm ready to handle it. If it had it come earlier in my career, maybe not. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight the best and be the best, and everything that comes along with it. I'm sometimes things happen too early in a guy's career, and it kind of ruins them. And I feel 100% ready.
We're on the phone with TJ Grant, who got a huge win on Saturday night against Gray Maynard, now putting him in line for the next title shot, as Randy said, with Benson Henderson. TJ, take us back Saturday night. Is that the fight that you expected going in? Because just watching when this fight was announced, I knew there would be some exchange of hands, but I expected at least some takedown attempts from Gray. Was that the fight that you had game planned for?
I mean, it's hard for me to sit here and say I didn't know what Gray's plan was going to be, but I kind of thought he was going to be willing to throw down, and and possibly if that didn't work out, take me down or throw down for a little bit and then go for the takedown later. And that was what we prepared for. And I mean, I spent a lot of time just, takedown defense, getting up. And obviously, what I would do on the feet. That was my whole plan, is just to kind of be active, but at the same time pressure him, because, I mean, in a lot of his previous fights, I mean, he was given opportunities to kind of compose himself and just be able to be the first to attack, because guys are so afraid of getting taken down and getting hit with big shots. So my goal was to kind of just to pressure him from the beginning.
TJ, let me ask you this, and I'm sure you don't get starstruck often. You were standing next to Mike Tyson, and I want to ask you about that. But there's another guy from your hometown. Has Sid the Kid reached out to you and congratulated you?
No, I mean, I haven't heard from Sidney. I don't know him personally. I'm sure he's a busy guy right now, and I'm wishing them nothing but success. But as far as the big guy Iron Mike, there, it was really that's one thing that really hasn't sunk in, just how it all unfolded, winning in the first round, 2 minutes in, and the fight in front of one of the greatest boxers to ever live, and just one of the most infamous and famous boxers to ever live. Definitely, one of the top guys ever, and for him just the way it unfolded, and him to kind of go to bat for me for the knockout of the night. I mean, that's that in itself is pretty crazy. Iron Mike, the knockout master, went to bat for me for a knockout, so that was pretty cool.
Now, is there any truth that I believe it was before the weigh-in, that Mike was giving you some boxing lessons in the back?
No, there's no truth to that, but I've definitely liked watching his fights in the past, and what I like always about him is that he came out and he had some losses later on, but he always went out and he went for it. And one thing that I can promise you forever about myself is that my fighting style is not going to change. I'm going to go out there, and I know one way to do it, and that's just to engage and pressure and fight, man. Like, I'm not out there to be the ultimate competitor. I'm out there to be the ultimate fighter. And that's my goal.
We're on the phone with TJ Grant, taking some time with us here today, which we appreciate. TJ, we were speculating about when possibly the title fight with Benson could happen. Have you heard anything? I know it looked like he came out pretty clean from the fight on Saturday night. Has there been any rumblings about when that title fight might come for you?
No, I mean, I haven't heard anything at all. I'm expecting to kind of hear as you guys do. I don't know, because I told the UFC, and I guess you still got to get a contract and you got to sign it. But hey, man, I'm ready to do whatever they tell me, and I'm sure that I'll know hopefully soon. I mean, especially if they're trying to look up that August card and kind of make their plans for that. I know they got to do that kind of relatively soon. So
I guess
I'm just kind of enjoying the little limbo here. I have a few days, because once I know about an opponent, it makes it really hard for me just to, this week it's important as a fighter that you just kind of you get away from the grind for a little while and just be a regular human being. And that's what I'm doing. I just had a baby girl last month. She's like 5 weeks old, and I'm trying to get in as much time there and just family time, and enjoy myself a little bit, because it's August 17th that I'm going at it. In another couple of weeks I'm full bore, ready to get hunker down and get back into camp.
If you had your preference, TJ, would you rather it be Toronto, which I believe is September, to A, give you more time, and B, to be in your home country?
You know what? It's really weird, because the only thing that intrigued, I'm intrigued obviously to fight in Toronto. I love fighting in Toronto, and it's Canada and everything else. But Boston is so close to my home city, and I feel like Boston is one of those cities I would just really love to fight in. I mean, but the date is what kind of bothers me a little bit. I prefer Toronto for September 21st, but I mean, if we could do Boston September 21st, which obviously isn't an option, I think it would just be cool to fight in a city like Boston, and being a shorter drive for all my family and friends back home. I know that would be be a good road trip, but I'm sure that no matter where it's at, man, I'm going to have the support.
Now, everything that I do is built around eating and food, and all the guys in the studio will tell you that. So what's best, I think, is they do your fight in Toronto, but they bring you to Boston on a PR tour, and then we hit all the pizzerias and stuff in Boston.
Man, I'm down. Like right now I have I'm at a Hamachi house. It's a sushi restaurant in Halifax, and like I've got a massive plate of sushi. It's crazy. They hook me up big time here, man. They treat me good, and I'm just so excited to dig in. But I got to prioritize. I got to do my interview with you guys because I made my promise, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys.
You know what, TJ? We'll let you go get to your sushi, and I'll change it. We won't hit the pizzerias in Boston. We'll get it hooked up, and we'll eat sushi in Boston if that's the PR tour and the fights in Toronto. How's that?
That sounds good, but you know what, man? I'm a fan of every different type of food. Like, that's the reason why I fought at 170%. You know what I mean? I can't say no. It took me over 20-something years of my life before I ever had a six-pack. Food's my vice.
Well, I can relate to that. TJ, get to your sushi. I appreciate it. We are out of time.
Appreciate it, TJ.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to it before the fight. I appreciate that, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Cool, man. Good talking to you guys anytime.
Take care. Awesome. That is TJ Grant. And for the record, the interview was booked on Thursday.
Yeah.
Before the fight, not after.
The outcome made you very happy.
It made me look pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Great.
I'm almost scared to say this before Wegs jumps in, but Derek and Wegs running the show next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we are.
You have the keys to the studio.
That's next Wednesday. Take that pitch right into the side of the mountain.
Looking forward to it.
Could be our last show, but it is what it is.
It's going down.
We are out of town or at a time, so hit us all up on Twitter. I'm at Knockout Radio.
At DCUCULICH.
Sean, KO Radio.
At KO Eggs.
Have a great week. The boys will be back next Wednesday. See you later.